In this video today, we'll be looking at the magic of live brush tool inside of Affinity. So before beginning the video, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please hit the subscribe button for more helpful tips and tricks related to Affinity. Now with that said, let's start the video. To showcase the magic of live brush tool inside of Affinity, first of all, let's bring in our images or open our images by using the stock panel on the right. So to access the stock panel, let's navigate to the right inside of the stock panel by selecting stock right here. And if you look here, you'll be able to see that we have basically two sources from which we can bring in the images to Affinity. One is pixels and the next one is Pixabay. So for this video, we'll bring in the image from pixels. So we can simply select pixels as it is being selected by default. I'll leave or simply click on pixels, and now you can see that below we have the I understand terms and conditions that we must check in order to search for images from the pixels stock panel. So if you haven't checked the I understand box, click and check the I understand box in order to agree to the terms and conditions. And now let's move at the top and select the search box and type in sky or any images that you want. So I'll type in sky and hit return key. And now you can see that we have different images of sky here. So I'll simply scroll below to find an appropriate sky for this tutorial. So I think this one is fine for now. So I'll simply select this one and then simply click and drag it inside of our canvas window and drop it. Since we are going to see the magic of live brush tool inside of Affinity through a mask layer inside of the layers panel, we'll add in a new object inside of this image or in this composition. So the next image that we will be searching for is an image of any flying object. So for that, this time let's pick a different source. That is, let's navigate on the stocks panel, select on pixels, and then again select Pixabay. And after selecting Pixabay, now it has automatically adhered to the checkbox of I understand in the terms and conditions of Pixabay, which was automatically selected or checked. Now let's type in any objects of a flying craft. So I'll type in airplane, and now you can see that we have different airplanes right here. So I think for this image, this particular airplane would be much more appropriate. So I'll simply click and drag it inside of our canvas like so and drop it. Now you can see that it's taking time and processing, and it has successfully added that aircraft inside of our canvas. The next thing that we'll be doing is let's zoom out, and then after zooming out, let's resize the airplane image inside of the canvas. So I'll simply click on this anchor point and then drag it to the left in order to resize it like so. And then let's place it somewhere here. And now the next thing that we'll be doing is using the shortcut key of Command +0 in order to fit the view of our canvas to the screen. So after fitting in the view of the canvas to the screen, now let's navigate and select the layers panel right here. And for now, I'll simply get rid or collapse our histograms panel by double clicking on it in order to view the full view of our layers panel right here. Now the next thing that we'll be doing is we'll be masking out the entire image of the airplane image that we just brought in. So in order to mask out this image entirely, by actively selecting the airplane image, navigate below and click on the layer mask icon right here. After selecting the layer mask icon, you'll be able to see that a new layer mask has been successfully added. So by actively selecting the newly created layer mask, which is indicated by the blue square border around the layer mask, simply use the shortcut key of Command +I, which will invert our mask entirely to black and hide everything inside of that layer, or mask out everything inside of that layer. Now, the next thing that we'll be doing is by actively selecting this particular layer mask in this image, let's select our brush tool, and by selecting the brush tool, make sure that we have the foreground color of white, and we will toggle the foreground color to white by selecting the X key in our keyboard. And after toggling our foreground color as white, make sure that your default settings for the brush in the contextual taskbar is fine, because mostly when I select brush, the wet edges option would be by default selected, which creates issues while masking out or brushing over our areas in the image. So right now the wet edges brush is turned off. So now let's start brushing in over the images. So before that, first of all, let's resize our brush. So I'll simply use the less curly bracket key in our keyboard in order to make the size of the brush smaller. And now I'll also navigate to our brush panel and select a soft round edge brush for this task. So I'll simply navigate below and select a soft round edge brush or round soft brush as the name implies right here. So I'll select this particular brush tool right here, and then again go back to our layers panel and select the layer mask right here, which is indicated by the blue border around our layer mask in this image. So now let's start brushing in. So before that, first of all, I think we should adjust the size of the brush as well. So in order to adjust the size of the brush, we can use this slider of width at the top contextual settings for the brush, or we can simply use the shortcut key of Control and Option and then drag it to the right like so in order to increase the width, and simply hold down the Control and Option again and drag it to the up to decrease the hardness, and drag it below to increase the hardness of the brush like so. So I'll simply set the hardness value somewhere at 72%, and I'm doing this by holding down the shortcut key of Control plus Option in my keyboard. So next, let's decrease the size of the brush. So to decrease the size of the brush, I'll use the shortcut key of less bracket like so. Now let's start brushing in over the image of the fighter jet. So if you look here, then you will be able to see that the brush is depicting or showing us the image behind our mask. So this is what the actual magic of the live brush tool is inside of Affinity, which will give us an extra advantage in our workflow in order to make our workflow much more seamless and fast. So now let's brush in the layer mask. So we'll simply click and brush it like so. We'll simply click and brush it like so. For now, let's brush it at the outside of the fighter jet as well. We can refine it later. So we can simply brush it like so. Let's brush at the wheels and simply let's brush at the second wheels and make the areas or portion of the fighter jet visible. So now you can see that we have made most of the areas or portion of the fighter jet visible. Now we can refine the brush by simply zooming in first, and after zooming in, let's decrease the size of the brush. And now let's change the type of the brush first, or we can simply control the hardness of the brush by holding down the shortcut key of Control and Option, and then drag the cursor below like so in order to increase the hardness all the way to the 100%. So the next thing that we'll be doing now is let's toggle the foreground color to black, and to do that we'll use the shortcut key of X, and now you can see that it has successfully toggled our foreground color to black. And now let's simply click and then hold down the shift key and then click on the next point like so in order to brush at the edges or outside of the edges of our fighter jet in a straight line. So we can simply click and brush it like so. Similarly, we can simply click and brush it like so at the edges. We can simply click and brush it like so at the edges. Click and brush it like so at the edges. So I'll fast forward this brushing process. Now we'll be refining the extra tiny straight edges outside of the aircraft. And to do that, we'll simply zoom in and then use the shortcut key of Control and Option and then drag it all the way below to first of all decrease the width of our brush, and then again zoom in by using the shortcut key of Command and plus, and then we'll simply brush over these edges to refine the extra edges as well. So I'll skip this portion as well. After we had masked out the aircraft by using the live brush tool inside of Affinity, now as you can see here, the aircraft is properly matching with the sky. However, we can also make further adjustment inside of this aircraft to make it match or harmonize more with its surrounding sky or the background image layer. So to do that, first of all, let's navigate below and click on the adjustment icon. And inside of the adjustment icon, let's select curves, and you can see that we have a new curves box popped up right here. And now what we'll be doing is we can also increase a highlight a bit and decrease the shadows a bit to add a bit of contrast to the aircraft. However, you can see here that although everything is looking fine, the curves adjustment layer is being applied to both of the background image layer as well as the aircraft layer. So let's close the curves box down first of all. And in order to limit the curves adjustment layer just to the aircraft, we'll simply click on the curves adjustment layer and drag it inside of our aircraft image like so. And now if I uncollapse it and again double click on the curves adjustment layer to open the curves box, now you will be able to see that we can only apply, or our curves effect will only be limited to the aircraft image. So if I increase the highlights and then decrease the shadows like so, now you can see that the contrast is only being applied and is limited to the aircraft image that we have masked out. So let's close the curves box, and this is how you can use the live brush tool inside of Affinity in order to make your workflow much more quick and easier. So if you find this video helpful, please click on the like button, and for more tips and tricks related to Affinity, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching this video and see you on the next video.